This offseason has seen an impressive amount of movement depending on where you look, and like some other teams keen on bolstering their rosters for the new season, the Arizona Diamondbacks have put some of their money where their mouth is, inking beloved Giants ace Madison Bumgarner to a 5-year, $85 million contract. Slotting in just ahead of strikeout maven Robbie Ray in the team's depth chart, the two-headed southpaw dragon is set to lead the charge for an exciting D-back starting rotation, aiming to help their ball club make some serious noise in a crowded NL West division. But neither of them are exactly aces at this point in time, at least not from a fantasy perspective. Bumgarner has continued to see his hard hit rate and opposing average exit velocity spike over the years, and despite calling Oracle Park home with a rock-solid strikeout-to-walk ratio, the gopher ball was almost enough of a problem to send his ERA over 4 last season. Robbie Ray has yet to solve his command woes, doesn't pitch particularly deep into ball games, and with seemingly every other inning turning into a homer-inducing base runner stranding adventure, all he really has going for himself right now is his elite strikeout rate. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and make a bold statement here. Much like how Ketel Marte, Christian Walker, and Carson Kelly all came from out of nowhere last year to carry the heavy load abandoned by now St. Louis Cardinal Paul Goldschmidt, the forecast out in Arizona will call for another surprise in preseason projections for 2020. Say hello to the Diamondbacks' 2 biggest chances of a playoff berth, to a pair of armed, savvy fantasy owners are primed to cash in on come draft day, to my 2 boldest assumptions of the new season, and to the 2 true aces of the Arizona Diamondbacks, Zac Gallen and Luke Weaver.
Right there with that cut fastball, and he rings up Jock Peterson to start us off.
And Gallen gets a swing and a miss.
Game 7 of the World Series. It's a swing and a miss, climbs a ladder and strikes out France. Back-to-back Ks were scoreless.
Let's start with the younger of the 2 guns in Gallen. His background is pretty straightforward. The Cardinals scooped him up fresh out of North Carolina. He balled out in rookie ball and ran the minor league table in all of 2 years. Then St. Louis didn't want him anymore once they saw an opportunity to give him away to Miami for Marcell Ozuna. Fast forward to June 20th, 2019, 3 years removed from sitting anxiously in the amateur draft and just a month and change away from turning 24 years old, and we find him debuting at the place that started it all for him at the major league level, looking like he belongs there even more so than 14-year veteran Adam Wainwright opposite him. I watched this game live with giddy excitement, every pitch instrumented with meaning, setting things up for the next one until the job was done and his adversary 60 feet away stomped his way back into the dugout. Right away, Gallen looked like he had both the poise and the stuff that reflected his gaudy minor league numbers. Clearly, games like these weren't pitched with Arizona, and most of us know why already, so let's ignore the roster politics and break down his 2019 for what it was, an effervescent, blossoming plunge into uncharted territory. For starters, Gallen already possesses 3 awesome pitches in his repertoire with an okay slider that could help him take things to the next level eventually. His fastball carries below average velocity, but it has above average ride, sitting at just under 9.5 inches of vertical movement according to Fangraphs. For reference, think of the fastballs that belong to Shane Bieber, Jake Odorizzi, and the currently suspended Frankie Montas, who also broke out last season. Here's what that looks like. This is a site of his first major league victory. Facing John Jay, his second batter of the whole day, and an above average strikeout suppressor, he gets one whiff high in the strike zone with the straight cheese before finishing him all together with another one higher and away from the zone completely. The best part about his fastball and its outstanding 29.3% strikeout rate, however, is that it plays to his manipulative habit of mixing speeds. Literally moments after striking out Jay, Gallen sets up Jose Abreu with another high fastball that gets fouled off before spiking his curveball in the dirt for his second strikeout of the game. Now, his curveball is not the bendiest of curveballs, but he sure knows how to spot it, walking only 3.3% of batters with it while collecting a healthy dose of chases and whiffs in the process. Of Gallen's 3 off-speed pitches, the changeup is his best, benefiting a great deal from both his rising fastball and his overall command of the pitch itself. Along with it being his best strikeout offering, it's also really good at inducing soft contact with an average opposing exit velocity in the top 75th percentile, a list that also includes relievers. Naturally, it kills a lot of worms with a ground ball rate over 63%, but again, Gallen could do a lot of damage by upping its usage altogether. Here's a good example of such, as he gets Jeff McNeil swinging twice with it to end his first at-bat of the game, and then proceeds to put away NL Rookie of the Year Pete Alonso with it later in the third inning. That being said, Gallen's lack of consistent command at the major league level is something that concerns me, with a third of his 15 starts last season including 3 or more base on balls, one of which being a quality start against the Rockies where he walked 6 guys. Despite putting together some impressive work from a strikeout perspective, Gallen doesn't necessarily throw a ton of strikes to do so, with a paltry 40.6% zone rate. And because he's so reliant on working upstairs with his fastball for whiffs and fly balls, he may be prone to run into a lot of deep counts when certain lineups refuse to chase, leading to his walk totals sitting somewhere around 10% for the foreseeable future. Don't let this stray from the fact that his stuff absolutely plays here. His fastball is definitely among the better fastballs in the league. He distributes the use of his secondaries evenly and methodically, and with Chase Field harboring a humidor these days, his fly ball tendencies will be relatively muted. But perhaps the most exciting thing about Gallen is that despite having only 80 or so innings under his belt, he's seemed to have found his bearings at the major league level already. His strikeout rate consistently sat around 30% throughout the year thanks to a strong whiff rate and minuscule opposing contact percentage, and as he became accustomed to his new home in Arizona, Gallen flourished in a hurry with a 2.89 ERA and 19.1% strikeout to walk ratio in his final 43 2/3 innings. His last 3 starts demonstrated more confidence in his fastball curveball synergy, with both pitches experiencing a bump in pitch usage while his walk rate fell all the way below 7%. And when Gallen is on his game and everything is working in tandem with one another, it looks a whole lot like it did in St. Louis, in Chicago, in New York, and his new home in Arizona when he played host to the Padres. That's reason enough for me to believe he'll take the next step and ascend all the way up to the top of the D-backs starting pitching depth chart next September. And he won't be alone.
Right there. Another changeup, a 9-pitch at bat, and Weaver wins the battle. 3-2 to Steven Duggar. Swing and a miss, a fastball away.
Over 5 seasons. And there's the Weaver changeup, making 6 strikeouts for Luke.
Despite giving fantasy enthusiasts every reason to ship him away to obscurity following a dismal 2018 season, Luke Weaver wheeled us all back in again last year following a change in scenery. The also former Cardinal cut down the usage of his mediocre curveball and gave some of that to his cutter, a pitch that was superior in opposing weighted on base average and opposing average exit velocity. Next, he became a lot more consistent with both his fastball and his changeup, throwing more of them for strikes and generating more whiffs in the process. Lastly, and this is the biggest change of them all, he conquered his fear of facing lineups the third time through. Now, this is going to take some justification and some evidence, but I promise you, this will give you a totally new outlook on Weaver at the end of the day. Let's start here. These are 2 tables splitting up Weaver's pitch usage the third time through a lineup by count. One from 2018 and one from 2019. If you look closely, you'll see quite a few differences that stand out in a big way. In 2018, Weaver's pitch mix either damaged his confidence or made him dangerously predictable. On April 24th of that year, he held the Mets to a run on a single hit through 4 innings before becoming totally unglued. With 2 outs in the 5th and the bases empty, Weaver walked Wilmer Flores on 4 straight fastballs, proceeded to walk Michael Conforto in an at-bat featuring 2 wildly misplaced curveballs, and then yielded a long 3-run shot to Yoenis Cespedes. An April 29th start in Pittsburgh fell apart in the 6th inning thanks to a trio of singles with a base on balls mixed in. All 3 of those hits came on misplaced fastballs and curveballs. His changeup was no good in these spots either. Look no further than his June 30th implosion, where in the 5th inning, Ender Inciarte roped a single center off of it, Ozzie Albies lined one on a run hop over the fence for a ground rule double, and Nick Markakis served one over the seats for a grand slam, all before Weaver could issue 2 more hits and another walk and hit the showers. For reference, his opposing weighted on base average shot up nearly 140 points between the second and third times through the order. This past year, Weaver shelved this changeup against righties and his curveball against lefties far more often. Righties saw more cutters, lefties saw more changeups, and with a new pitch mix and refined command, Weaver cruised through lineups multiple times through the order in multiple occasions. Here he is in a May 4th start from 2019, working the corners and switching eye levels with Charlie Blackmon and Coors. The whiffs he gets on his changeup and fastball are the result of sharper command, something he carries over into the 7th inning, where he stays away from David Dahl's pull side for the strikeout before wrapping up his night with an inning-ending ground ball from Ryan McMahon. 5 days later, he went on to silence that same Braves lineup that put an 8th spot on him a year before, pitching 7 innings of run ball, including a 6th inning strikeout of Ozzie Albies and a 1-2-3 frame for good measure. Furthermore, Weaver solved his platoon split from a year ago. He threw way more fastballs away from left-handed hitters and spotted way more changeups at or below the bottom of the strike zone against them than he did in 2018, leading to an almost 100-point decrease in opposing weighted on-base average versus opposite-handed hitters. Righties weren't safe either thanks to his cutter. Working in tandem with his fastball, it opened up the outer half of the plate for Weaver, making righties more vulnerable to four-seamers inside and upstairs. Universally, Weaver's opposing contact rate fell a couple points, his chase rate jumped a couple points, and his swinging strike and first pitch strike rates trended upward. Weaver did miss a whole 3/3 of the 2019 season due to a UCL strain, so I'm tempering my expectations a bit as to what a full 30-plus start workload could look like for him in 2020. I wouldn't anticipate a full season of a sub-3 ERA and 1.0 whip from Weaver, but given the pedestal his constituents will be held under, I'm confident he'll fly under the radar and become one of the better value picks in most fantasy circles. The best case scenario here is that he picks up where he left off and fits the mold of a discount Zach Greinke, a reliable innings eater who will keep your ratios in check with the occasional 8 to 10 strikeout outing here and there. That may not mean much now, but if he has indeed rediscovered himself this way, then both the D-backs and fantasy owners alike will be in for quite a pleasant surprise this upcoming season. Thank you all for watching, and for those who've stuck with the channel while I was on hiatus, I appreciate you and everything that you do. You guys are the best, and I owe everything to you. I feel refreshed and ready to take the world by storm, but in order to do so, I kind of had to rediscover my love for the game of baseball, and there's truly no better way to do that than to jump back in the saddle and chat away like I used to. As always, I'd like to shout out Fangraphs.com, BaseballSavant.com, and BooksBaseball.net, as well as MLB.com for all the footage and data provided here. Guys, please provide any feedback that you can. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and maybe throw in a comment to get a fantasy discussion going. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down and maybe tell me exactly what it was that went wrong and what I should focus on improving in the future. Nevertheless, this is Jay Mertz signing off. Take care, everyone, and God bless.